This is the S1S Podcast, Episode 9.
The Stage 1 Startup Podcast is launching in T-minus 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, 0. Prepare for liftoff.
Welcome to the Stage 1 Startup Podcast for startups and aspiring entrepreneurs to find out what it takes to launch any business idea from stage 1 to success. Now, for your hosts, live from the UK, Nichols and Morley.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Stage 1 Startup Podcast. This is episode 9, and you are tuned in with your hosts, Bradley Morley
And Greg Nichols.
So Greg, it's that famous question again. How excited are you right now for this guest?
I'm going to take things to the next level, Brad. I'm on a solid 20 now. I'm going past the 10 phase.
I'm with you, mate. I cannot wait to interview this guest. We've been waiting a very long time for this, and you know they're just going to share so much content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck you over to my main man Greg to tell you who today's special guest is.
Thanks, Brad. So today on episode 9 of the Stage 1 Startup Podcast, we have the absolute pleasure of interviewing a true idol in the entrepreneurial world, and now our good friend, Nathan Chan. Nathan is the CEO, founder and publisher of Foundr Magazine, a digital magazine for young, aspiring and novice stage entrepreneurs. He has had the pleasure of interviewing some of the most best minds in entrepreneurship, from the likes of Tony Robbins, Richard Branson and Gary Vaynerchuk. Your personal favourite, Brad.
Oh yes, it's definitely my favourite.
When Nathan launched Foundr Magazine, it was just a business magazine with only a few hundred readers. But since then, they've climbed the entrepreneurial mountain, and Foundr has grown hugely from a digital business, spreading their love of entrepreneurship through its podcast, magazine, and training platform. And now Foundr Magazine is enjoyed by thousands upon thousands of entrepreneurs located all around the planet. Nathan is one of our idols, and we can certainly relate to him and his story and his business on so many levels. Amongst the many successes that Nathan and his team have seen, they've never lost sight to help their vast community of aspiring entrepreneurs, including myself and Brad. We would consider Nathan a social media king, especially with his proven track record with Instagram. Nathan grew Foundr Magazine Instagram account from a measly 100 followers to a whopping 841,000. But this wasn't enough for Nathan. He wanted to share his Instagram tools, techniques, and secrets with his community of aspiring entrepreneurs by helping them grow their Instagram accounts to help them scale their businesses. I could literally go on about Nathan all day, but I think it's time to pass the mic over to him to explain himself for all of his successes. Nathan, hello and welcome to the show, my friend. Could you just explain a little bit more about yourself and your journey as an entrepreneur?
Thank you so much for having me, Brad and Greg. I'm really pumped and excited to be here. I'm really loving what you guys are up to. So to answer your question, I've been an entrepreneur for about 3.5 years. It's I started a company, a digital media company called Foundr, and we produce entrepreneurial content and in the forms of a magazine, a podcast, radio show, blogs, and also, we have a membership site as well as a few other pieces of training, and we're really doubling down on the education side. But yeah, this is my first business, and would you like me to tell you how it all got started?
Yeah, we'd love to hear it. I'm sure our listeners would as well.
Okay, so pretty much 4 years ago, before I started the magazine, I was working in a day job that I literally utterly hated. It was a day job where I worked in IT support, and I had to fix people's computers.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, I had to fix people's computers, and it was really frustrating. And people thought I was an idiot. Like, people treated me like an idiot, and I kind of acted like one because I didn't really care what other people thought. But I always knew that, deep inside I was destined for so much more. And, I used to walk to the train, catch the train every morning, and it'd be dead silent because everyone there on the train just hated being there, and they, it was really depressing. And, for me, I just had enough. I eventually just snapped, and I was like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm gonna go out and find work that I'm passionate about. And the first thing that I actually did was, this was about 5 years ago, I decided to go back to university and study a Masters of Marketing. And then what ended up happening was I read a few books along the way, like the 4-Hour Work Week, and that book was just absolutely game-changing. And I discovered, online business, and I started to fantasize with the idea of starting my own online business and working for myself. And I love marketing, and I had a passion for marketing, but no one would give me a job in marketing. So what ended up happening was I found that there wasn't really any magazines on the newsstand, print or digital, that targeted or focused on young entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and novice stage entrepreneurs. And I knew that print was a dying trade, still is today. And I thought that, maybe I could create a digital magazine and also, create a publication and a media source that really spoke to myself and scratched my own itch. And that's what I did. I launched this magazine called Foundr. It actually wasn't called Foundr at the time. It was called something else, and that's a whole nother story.
I've heard about that from a previous podcast of yours.
We'll have to go into more detail about that over a beer sometime.
Yeah, most definitely. But we were sued for trademark infringement. 4 months in, then called the magazine Foundr, and just launched it while I was working my day job, and just kind of worked on it on the side, and slowly but surely built it up to so I could leave my day job. And then kind of the rest is history since I've left my day job. We've done some really, really cool things around, Instagram. We launched a podcast. We started to develop some educational products. And also along the way, we've managed to feature, many, many really influential entrepreneurs on the covers of our magazine. And I feel like, we're just kind of scratching the surface now, and we're just really starting to, find good momentum.
Definitely, and that's brilliant, Nathan. We can definitely relate. It's like listening to a carbon copy of Greg in a way, because he, doing the IT side of things, it sounds like the same journey, and we can appreciate that. Getting on that train and just seeing the gloominess around you, and everyone's on the same social network. They're all checking their status updates. They're all looking forward to the weekends constantly, and it's just an absolute rat race, isn't it? So. We can definitely relate to that. So we want to sort of dive into the questions. I mean, the first set of questions that we go into will be about the hustle and what you went through during the startup stages that got you from that stage one to the success. So Greg's going to kick us off with that. And we'll take it from here.
Yeah, so Nathan, take us back to the moment that you pinpointed Foundr Magazine as your thing, and kind of why you decided to run with it over the many possibilities that are out there on the internet right now.
Yeah. Well, I just, I didn't know whether Foundr would be my thing. That's the first thing, right? I literally was just so frustrated with my current situation that I just wanted to try something. So I treated Foundr literally not like this, big time startup, it was going to raise capital and do all these things. And we're still a bootstrap startup to this day. I treat it like a passion project, a side hustle project that I'd work on while, I was in my day job. And even when I launched, I wasn't 100% sure it would work. I just really didn't know. And I was actually really comfortable with that. And I think that's something that, a lot of people, when they do launch their business, they really, really want to be successful, and, they think it has to be a success. Well, for me, it was literally just testing something and seeing what worked. And even when like after the first month of launching, we made $5 on the first day, $80 by the end of the month. And, a lot of people, I even remember my housemate laughing at me when I said that I made $5 on the first day. So to some people that, is not a lot of money, but in, the first month of your own, business, that can be incredibly game changing just for your your mindset to see that you're building this magazine with your own two hands, and I didn't know anything about apps, I didn't know anything about editorial design, you name it, but people were still prepared to exchange their money for something that I'd provided, and that was quite a game changing realization. But when I really realized it was for me, was, I guess, just as time went on. I can't actually pinpoint, an exact month, but probably in the first, 3 to 4 months of starting the magazine, I really felt that this is what I was born to do. And I'll never forget telling my girlfriend Emily, that this stuff that I'm doing, this is what I was born to do. And I remember, after every interview, I used to get so excited and just like literally want to fist pump in the air. Like, I know that sounds kind of dumb and a bit corny, but it was so much fun. And it still is to this day. And what happened was, I launched this magazine and we had subscribers. So it kept me financially accountable to the point where it was just like, okay, well, if people are paying for this and it's a monthly subscription, we got to work on the next issue. And what happened was, me as a person, I don't like to let people down, and I definitely don't want to. I think it's the worst thing you could ever do in the world if you have a subscription, magazine subscription, or any form of recurring revenue, and you're making a promise to people if they, sign up. Then you have to keep that promise. I think it's just the worst thing you could ever do in the world if you don't keep that promise. Like, not deliver a magazine or not deliver on your promise every single month. So, that's what I just did. I just kept delivering on that promise, and ended up being like quite a blessing in disguise, because what I didn't realize was, because I was forcing myself to produce that magazine every single month, that caused me to build a shipping muscle. And what do I mean by shipping muscle? I mean that, I think, one of the things that holds early stage entrepreneurs back is they have a problem with shipping, creating something and putting it out into the world, even if it's just, posting a social media image, even if it's just, getting your first website up. Everything has to be perfect. And for me, I couldn't ship perfection. Perfection is a myth. It doesn't exist. And I was just shipping every single month. And as time went on, I started to build this shipping habit, and we started to build the recurring revenue of the business. And, I could see it was just kept going up and up and up. And I was like, what, I can turn this into a serious business. I know I can, utilize this business to leave my day job and replace my income. And it was only probably, after I left my business, to be honest, guys, that I realized that what I was building, or I wanted to build a startup. I didn't want to build a lifestyle business.
No, definitely. I think that story that you just told the listeners, that you well and truly got bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, I suppose, didn't you?
Yeah, 100%, man. I just fell in love with the process, and it's just so much fun. Wouldn't change it for the world.
We can relate to that though, because the whole sort of lifestyle thing, we tried it, the lifestyle marketing, digital lifestyle,
live on the beach for the rest of your life,
take a laptop on the beach and all that stuff. We tried it, the whole sort of affiliate marketing, network marketing. Excuse me. We tried the whole sort of network marketing side of things, and it just didn't really fit with what we wanted to do. We wanted to start up a real business, and I think that's what you have to go through these sort of things until you can sometimes reach where you want to head. But yeah, we can resonate with you on that.
Yeah.
So Nathan, what I want to dive into, obviously, we want to really get to grips with the whole starting phases of when you got into this, because that's what we want to focus on. Anyone that's struggling with an idea, or they've got an idea but they just don't know the sort of steps they should be taking. When you first started the Foundr Magazine, was the Entrepreneur Magazine already out at that time?
Yeah. Entrepreneur Magazine. Yeah, they've been out for like 30, 40 years, maybe even 50 years. They've been
Really?
around for a long time. Yeah.
Crazy.
Entrepreneur Magazine. Yeah. Yeah. So there's been, Inc., Fast Company, Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine. Yeah, they've been out for a very, very long time. So yeah, we're quite new to the piece.
So when you did come into it, did you look at those areas and did that put you off, or did you sort of say, you know what, I'm going to make my own unique version of this and really focus on other things? What was sort of going through your mind at the time?
Yeah, so I think I definitely was intimidated by these other big publications that, have 30, 40 staff and have millions of readers and all those kinds of things. I think, when you first start, you're very intimidated and you feel like a little bit of a fraud.
Yeah.
So definitely I had that imposter syndrome. And, I remember I didn't even put my face in the editor's letter in the early days because I was embarrassed. And I didn't want people to know it was just me running the magazine. I certainly didn't want people to know that it was just me running my day job, So I felt like a fraud. But I think as time goes on, I don't know what happens, but you just build you just stop caring. You stop caring what other people think, and that's a big thing that a lot of people that want to start a business but don't know where to start have. A lot of it's mindset, in the sense that if you just ship something, put something out there and see what happens, you'll build that confidence. But before you actually ship something, you really care what other people think. I think that's a big part of being able to build a business, launch a business, is removing that, just not caring, what other people think, not even just your friends, but also not even worrying about competitors and what they're doing, and they're so big and I'm so small. Because at the end of the day, most markets are big enough for more than one player. And I think the thing with Entrepreneur and all these other big publications is, we were going after a different target market to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what set you aside from the main competitors that you were initially intimidated by.
Yeah.
We could say the same thing. I mean, in a way, we're coming into podcasting at a late time. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of others out there like yourself. You've got your version. You've got, Pat Flynn's, Johnny Dumas, Tim Ferriss. You've got all these people there that some could say, there's no doubt it went through our mind in the starting phases of
how do we people?
Yeah, they've got such a big audience across all these people. How are we going to get our own audience? But I suppose if you find what's unique about your own, and you find what your target market audience, is, then you can really focus on getting your own audience, and they are out there, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And I think a big thing here, guys, is any content play, right? You start with zero. Tim Ferriss started with zero. John Lee Dumas started with zero. Pat Flynn started with zero. Everyone starts with zero. And I think when it comes to a content play, it can be quite intimidating. If you start an e-commerce business and you sell, watches online, it's not that intimidating starting at zero because you just start selling product, right? But when it's a content play, whether it's a podcast, it's a blog, whether it's a magazine, you start at zero, and you, for some reason, I don't know why, but you seem to compare yourself to other people. Like you said, you feel like you're copying others. You feel like, is there enough room for me? And I think the biggest piece with the content play is exactly what you guys are doing, differentiating yourselves in some way, shape, or form. And then the next piece of that is just being extremely consistent over a long period of time and never stopping. The moment you stop is the moment that you lose all the momentum that you've built. And that couldn't be more than true with the stuff that we're doing at Foundr. You know what? Like, the first podcast I ever went on, I can't remember what the first podcast interview was that someone invited me on, but honestly, guys, it took a year and a half before anyone even asked me to come on a podcast.
I bet you're being asked left, right, and centre now, though, aren't you?
Yeah, look, we do. I do get a lot of requests to go on podcasts. Yeah, for sure, and that's because I've been lucky enough to be featured on some big podcasts, and also I work pretty hard to get the Foundr brand out there in the podcasting and online world.
And your story is so inspirational, and I think it can relate to so many people that are out there that are feeling the exact same thing as what you did.
Yeah, and I think.
Oh well, thank you.
And I think, like, as well, it's sometimes for me anyway. Maybe it's because we're going through that same element, but a lot of people that have transitioned from employee to entrepreneur, that tends to inspire a lot. Well, you could say a lot more people out there. It inspires me. It depends what your audience is, but the people that are in jobs and they hate it and they want to start on their own, seeing that it is possible through guys like yourself that do it, it just builds up a bit of momentum for everyone else.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, look, it definitely is possible, and I never forget, you guys might find this interesting. I remember my mindset actually changing because when I first launched Foundr, I was like, I hope I can build up this publication. I hope I can build up this magazine to be able to leave my day job. But as time went on and I started, actually networking and going to networking events and like speaking and hanging out and becoming friends with a lot of entrepreneurs that had done it, that do this stuff full time. As time went on, it was actually not a matter of I hope I can, build this publication up to leave my day job and replace my income. It was a matter of when. And I became, what forced me to hustle even harder was I became actually embarrassed. That I'd be doing interviews during my lunch break. I'd be doing interviews, at 5 a.m. before I started work, and I felt like a little bit of an imposter, and I just wanted to keep pushing, and that pushed me even harder. So yeah, that's something that really inspired me.
So Nathan, earlier on in the interview, you mentioned that Foundr was a bootstrapped company. It still is to this day. How much funding and how long did it take before you started to see results?
Well, it was just slow increments. Like I said, the first day that we launched, we made $5. At the end of the month, we made about $80. The next month, we made about $300. The next month, we made about $500. So it was just very, very slow increments, and that's I think what's the beautiful thing when you look at a subscription-based business model is it's recurring revenue that is predictable. So as long as you do a good job, you make a promise, you keep that promise and do a great job and deliver on that promise above and beyond what you're paying and the value is there, you can build a predictable income stream for that business. And, when I started to, see things working, it was probably about first 3 or 4 months in. I said I could see it. I was just like, all right, we have no website, we have no social media, we don't have this, we don't have that, we're not ranking here on App Store SEO. I could just see it just starting to grow. And to be honest, the reason I never raised capital for the magazine was, one, because I didn't even know how. Two, because, to be honest, before I even started the magazine, I didn't really know much about venture funding and how all that stuff worked. And I found that process actually extraordinarily intimidating. And for some reason in my gut, I felt that I could build a sustainable business without receiving outside funding. Now, I think that's a common myth that a lot of people, have when it comes to wanting to start a business. They always say, or they always think that, I can't start a magazine, or I can't launch my app, or I can't do this because I need funding. I need capital. Doesn't it take heaps of money? I need to raise venture fund. You don't at all. And this is the crazy thing, right? Like, to launch Foundr, it cost me $3,000 And, to this date, as we added, more and more assets to the brand, we're a multi-million-dollar company, and we've built that in 3.5 years, and we haven't received any outside funding, and it's all come bootstrap from, the initial capital that I've used. So it's incredible what you can do because the internet has changed the game. The internet has like lowered the playing field that anyone can create a business from, next to nothing with little to no capital, and they can do it by themselves. You don't need a lot of outside help. And if you do, you can get it at such, affordable cost, like to design the magazine every single month. I don't design it. I've found an amazing graphic designer, and he's become a great friend in India. Obviously that utilizing, the exchange rate and working with developed countries, I'm giving, not only am I helping, fuel that economy, but there's an incredible amount of leverage that you can get when you look at, outsourcing, when you look at using, many different SaaS companies and technologies like, lead pages to create simple landing pages, and tools like WordPress to create your own website and not having to pay 10 grand to a web agency to develop your website. Even us like talking right now, you guys don't have to go to a studio to do a radio show. You can set up your own studio and we can record it with very clear audio over Skype due to the internet, and you can edit it with tools like Audacity. So this is a common misconception that a lot of people have, that you need a lot of funding.
There's no luxury here. We're in Greg's bedroom. We got the Founders Creed on the wall. We got a whiteboard. I've got a bed touching me on the side. I can't knock it. I love this room. I would. This is going to be a part of our inspirational story. Greg. Don't you worry about that.
This is the S1S launch room. As Brad said, we've got the Founders Creed up on the wall, and we're killing it.
We will have a founder office one day, don't you worry.
I love it, boys, because that was me. I launched the magazine from my bedroom. Similar story to you guys. Just grinding it out, and just every single day. There was one thing that I did that I think is really, really key and important, and that's every single day. I know if you have your day job, I encourage people to launch their business on the side. I think every single day what you have to do is just, do one or two things. Just write it down, one or two things, or just spend at least half an hour a day on your business, and whatever that half an hour is, it's moving the needle forward, whether it's getting podcast artwork, whether it's doing an episode and recording it and shipping it, whether it's, speaking to a customer to find out information of how they found you, and whether it's, setting up a channel, whatever it is, just doing one thing every single day for 30 minutes a day it compounds over time, and it builds this habit inside of you that you're always moving the needle forward. And as long as you're moving the needle forward, you will get towards your goals. And this is another thing that I'd like to share. One thing that I did do, guys, is I created what is called a goal pyramid, and it was taught to me by one of my mentors, Matthew Michaelwitz. And what that did was, I think, sometimes it can be so difficult to know, like to actually strive if you don't have an end goal in sight and you don't have a vision. And for me, in the early days and still to this day, we set quite aggressive goals. So what I did was I created a goal pyramid, and this was a framework taught to me by Matthew, where what you do is you put your top goal at the top of the pyramid. So a pyramid, it's a triangle, and at the top of the triangle is one pillar, and then underneath that one pillar you have, three pillars, and then you keep going down, and as the triangle tends to spread out, you have more pillars. And I had 4 rows of pillars, and there was one goal at the top, and that was to make a certain amount of money from Foundr to be able to cover the operating costs and to be able to replace my income so I could leave my day job. And I actually filled out that goal pyramid. So, the number one goal, and then what needs to happen? What do I need to do to be able to reach that goal? How many issues do I need to produce? How many people do I need to speak to? What other marketing channels do I need to test? How many email subscribers do I need? How many subscribers of the magazine do I need? What are some other products that I can create? All these different things that you need to do to hit that number one goal. That's what you need to put underneath those pillars. And for me, I work with Matthew. He showed me this framework. And I put this goal pyramid next to my bed, and every single day I obsessed about it. I looked at it. I told people about it, and I told people my goals, and I just kept working on it. And I still do that framework every single year. And for some reason, every single year I tend to, always reach my goals, whatever that goal is. So, yeah, it's been an incredible process that, I think is very important for people that are starting out, that you have to set some, achievable goals that you work towards when you're moving the needle every single day. It's not just moving the needle. It's not just spending the 30 minutes. It's actually spending the 30 minutes, moving the needle, and looking at that goal on your direction to that goal, whatever that goal is.
That's a perfect bit of advice that you can give to all of our listeners, making daily steps that, even if it's small, even if it's a small step, it's still a step. It doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're doing something. That's the main thing to take away from that. Nathan, that's brilliant. I mean, you answered about 5 questions that we was going to ask you just in that one answer, so thank you very much. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Instagram. Now, we know that you are an Instagram king and you're a big authority on Instagram. So how long was it until you started pushing Instagram and started to see results, and maybe even the reasons why you chose to use Instagram over sort of the other social media tools that are out there?
Yeah, sure. So, look, to this day, Instagram is a massive channel to grow the magazine subscriptions, to grow our email list, and to build our audience, and for people to hear of the brand and spread the message. And how that came about was, so I started the magazine March 2013. Took me about a year to build it up to be able to leave my day job. So I left around, I think it was June 2014, or around that time, May 2014. And then, it took a bit of adjusting time to work out what I was going to do next. And it's very difficult when you transition from 9-to-5 working style to being able to work your own hours and no one's telling you what to do. And unless you move the needle forward, especially when you're a solo founder, you can't, you have no income unless, so you are the only reflection of how much you earn. And, I was stumbling around, and I said for a while that I was going to launch a podcast, and I was trying all sorts of different things. We launched a new version of the Foundr website, and we actually started blogging. Otherwise, up until then, we had no blog. We didn't produce content. We didn't really have any presence on social, even after I left my day job. That's like me starting from scratch. We had the channels there, but we weren't really posting anything. It was pretty bad. And, I was testing things. I was testing, Facebook ads to apps, to the app. And I was testing, buying, likes, growing our fan page. I was testing blogging, creating content. I was testing guest posting. I was testing all these different things. I was testing other channels like Pinterest and Twitter. And what happened was, actually a reader of Foundr, the magazine, contacted me, a couple months before I left my day job, a few months before I left my day job, and he said, hey, I'm a reader of the magazine, love what you guys are doing. You guys, do incredible stuff. Would you like to purchase a shout out from me? It'll cost, $20, $30. I've got 20,000 Instagram followers, and it's around entrepreneurship. And, I'd love to be able to let my audience know. Maybe we can post, the Richard Branson cover and tell them about the free issue. So, I paid that $20, $30, gave it a try, and what happened was it didn't work. I didn't see, because I think a big part of, when you're looking to, test any marketing channel, I think any good business has, a few channels, marketing channels that generate a lot of acquisition of customers for them. And we didn't really have that channel. We did have one. It was App Store SEO, but I needed a few more. And, good marketing is throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks. And, I tested Instagram. I paid for a shout out. And, the guy posted, and his name's Brad. Brad posted, the Richard Branson cover, and he linked to Foundr, and he said, go to foundrmag.com/iTunes or foundrmag.com/Android in the caption. And I saw no spike in our Google Analytics, and that's why I was coming back to testing. I'm always looking at the data to know whether a channel is actually working or not. And there was no spike in, downloads or subscriptions. And so I just scrapped it and was like, yeah, okay, Instagram's not for us. But at that time, I also did have a few entrepreneurial friends that were doing some powerful things on Instagram in the health and e-commerce based niche. And what ended up happening was, we were kind of, Foundr was doing okay. I was paying myself a salary, but I was still trying to test these different channels, and I thought I needed more help because I can't do everything, right? Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to do everything as a solo founder. You guys are lucky because you have each other and you business partners. I think, maybe I should have had a business partner sometimes because, sometimes it can be tough. It's very lonely. Definitely. And, you guys can produce double the output together. And, I was by myself. So I thought, maybe, I can't afford to hire anyone full time. Maybe I'll get an intern. And what happened was, I found an intern, and he was going to start with me on the Monday. And literally on the Friday, what I did was, I had all these social media accounts, but I hadn't logged into them in a long time, especially Instagram. And that was November 2014. So I didn't know how Instagram worked, hadn't used it in a very, very long time. And pretty much I was just like, okay, I'm just going to log into this thing. We had a few hundred followers. And, I didn't know how it worked because previously, I had another friend that was, doing some work on it just so he could put it on his resume. And, he built it up to a couple of hundred followers. And, I hadn't logged in and, we had like maybe 40, 50 images there. And I did a couple of posts on Instagram, and I also did a couple of things that a few of my friends that were doing really well on Instagram that were crushing it. I did a few things that they recommended, which was like, using hashtags and then engaging in a few like-minded audiences that are in your target market, just leaving some comments and stuff like that. And I spent, maybe 2 hours just playing around, and I posted maybe about 5 times. And then, a few hours later that night, I looked at my Google Analytics for the magazine in the App Store, and I saw our sales spike. And we made like an extra couple of $100 that month and that day. And I was just like, ooh, we're onto something here. And then that took me down this path of just absolutely battle testing the crap out of Instagram and really mastering the platform to the point that, we started on Instagram November 2014, so about a year and a half, and our account is one of the largest business-related accounts on Instagram. We have more followers than Fast Company, Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, and it's been an amazing channel to just really blow up the business and really blow up the reach and spread the message.
That's awesome. I mean, Instagram is obviously it's a very popular thing now. That we've just seen earlier today. We started on the new sort of Snapchat thing that they've got going on. But at the time, was it quite early doors that you got into Instagram? Was it like was it still quite fresh to the
Had
market?
it been bought by Facebook at that point by the time that you started?
Guys, it had been around for a very long time. When I started on Instagram, it had been around. So I think it's been around now for 6 years. And when I started on Instagram, it had been around for 4. Wow. So 4 years. So 4 to 4.5 years. So we definitely weren't first movers. What we were, though, was we tested this channel, found that channel, and just scaled the absolute crap out of it. And I focused on it, and I doubled down on it big time. And what started to happen was, at Foundr, our ethos is to show what's working, to produce the best possible content out there. And if we're sitting on some gold, right, if we know that this stuff works, we're going to write blog posts about it. If I do a podcast interview, I'm going to tell people if people ask. And, what ended up happening was, we started writing content about it, and I started talking about it. And, I think Foundr started to build a name, not only just, for the brand itself around producing great content, but, really knowing, like, just doing great work on Instagram and producing great content and knowing, what it takes to utilize Instagram to grow your business and use it as a channel to build your business, get more lead sales, traffic, and exposure. And that's what happened. And I think, when it comes to this whole content play, I think you have to find that one channel. And I know you guys are doing well on Instagram, which is amazing to see. And, when you find that channel, you have to produce content around it, and you have to, give. And that's how you can attract also. And it's another way of attracting audience is giving your best stuff away. Obviously you can't, we have a course on Instagram, and we can't teach and create, content like a blog post, of 10 hours worth of stuff, because we don't want to make our business around Instagram. But, we've produced some great articles that really help. But, we also have a course that's, incredibly, in depth, has 10, 15 hours plus worth of content. We have an amazing community behind it. So it's kind of like premium content. And, for us, we've just made it, a thing. And I think that's a great way to build an audience. And it's a concept by Eben Pagan called moving the free line. So what you do is you give some of your best stuff away for free, which in turn attracts new people to your content and builds incredible amount of trust because it's amazing stuff. And so we're constantly, sharing what is working for Foundr, and people love that, and people apply that. We just launched an epic blog post on webinars, how we use it to generate hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month, and it's been an incredible blog post. It's super in depth, and we don't hold back, but we can't teach a course around it, and we probably will. But the thing is, we can't teach a course on, in a blog post. So there's only so much you can give away. But if you can give away, a lot of good stuff, people will be attracted to your content, and you can build a reputation for your brand, especially in the content play. You can start to build a reputation that you produce great content, and people keep coming back, and people trust you. And once you build that trust, people are more likely to do business with you. And, people buy from other brands or other people that they know, like, and trust. And for Foundr, we have a great podcast, and we have a great magazine, and we have great blog posts, we have great social media content, and we provide a ton of value. 99% of our content is free, and that's kind of our model, right?
Mm-hmm. And I suppose it's about consistency as well, and just being sort of 24/7 with it. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. One thing that we do that I'm quite proud of at Foundr is we work on one channel at a time, master it, and then keep moving. But once we've mastered it, we set up systems and habits, whether it's myself or someone in our team, or we have processes where whatever we've mastered, we still keep building momentum with that platform or channel. So, for example, when I first launched the magazine, it was just the magazine. I focused on that for over a good year. And every single month, the middle of the month, I produced an awesome magazine issue. And we still do it every single month to this day. But that's still running in the background. And then, I moved, left my day job, and started working on Instagram and also our podcast. And now that's we're doing quite well there. I'm moving on to the next thing. But still, to this day, we still produce a podcast episode every single week, and we still, produce content for Instagram every single day. And, now I moved on to the next thing, and now focusing on content marketing and blogging. And, since, a year ago, we've been producing a blog post every single month. Sorry, not every single month, every single week, every single Tuesday, you'll get an epic blog post that gets sent to you, but we'll also publish it on the blog. So how can you not grow if you set up these systems and think of it just like brick by brick? So one blog post is one brick, one magazine issue is one brick, one podcast episode is one brick, and use the internet, which is amazing, that technology to spread the message for you. As long as you make sure that content is evergreen, so it's timeless content, then, people constantly keep finding that content, and, you add people to your email subscriber base, and, you start building your audience. So as long as you keep being consistent, exactly like you said, and, keep adding to those, to building that house brick by brick, how can you not grow?
Exactly. And I think what I really love the sort of brick by brick analogy, because literally, I remember seeing your Instagram posts as Foundr Magazine before I even knew what Foundr Magazine was. I think Instagram was the first thing I see you on. I didn't even know you had the e-magazine, and then obviously I see the promotional posts, and then you got into the whole magazine thing, and
the free
now,
ebook as well. That I remember that coming up on the on my personal feed, not on any of our business feeds on Instagram. Right. And I screenshot it to Brad, and I was like, "Look, download this. It's gonna help us grow the business." And it has, definitely.
But yeah, I just like the whole way that you've now managed to turn Foundr into, this huge platform that doesn't just purely focus on, Instagram. And that's what I really want to get out of this podcast, is that, we've listened to many of you, the other interviews back in the past, where I think the first one I listened to you on was Pat Flynn's, and I took a lot of value from that in terms of setting up on Instagram. But it was purely focused on Instagram, whereas now, you guys are really getting somewhere. You've got all this other content you can speak about. That's why we really want to try and... It's just so much to cover with the whole sort of theme of Foundr, which is great, which is what people need to know, that you don't just have to stick with one thing, but maybe stick with one thing and move on and keep building those bricks, like you said.
Yeah, look, I think... our play is building an ecosystem. It's much more than just a magazine. It's an entrepreneurial brand. It's an ecosystem. It's a platform. But the ethos never changes. It's producing awesome content. It's, helping and serving entrepreneurs however we can. And with that ethos, that mission, we'll just keep chipping away at it brick by brick.
Definitely.
Nathan, thank you so much for answering the round one of the questions about the hustle. There's so much inspiration and motivation and tips, tools and techniques that you've used to grow Foundr to where it is right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into the rocket round. Now, for any of our listeners that don't know what the rocket round is, the rocket round is where we ask our guest 5 quick questions where they have to think on their feet. Nathan, are you ready for your first question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Your favourite mobile app, obviously other than your own.
Oh, of course. Probably right now, Slack.
We're getting that so much.
We are actually. I think that's every episode now, isn't it?
Every episode for about 5 episodes now. Everybody said Slack.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it helps you a lot because you got a big team now to spread the work across.
Yeah. Look, it's just a great way to keep in touch with the team. Yeah.
Perfect. Favorite entrepreneurial idol?
Elon Musk.
What's your reasons?
I just think he's a legend. Just like what the work that he does. He just defies, and just defies, anything that anyone says, and he's just doing incredible things that most people can't even imagine. And he's just an incredible entrepreneur. Yeah, game changer. Yeah.
What is Nathan Chan's morning ritual? What do you do every day that sets you up for the day?
Guys, I wish I could say I got something fancy for you. That's still a work in progress. I wake up, usually check my phone, look at my calendar and see what's up. That's, I'm starting to have a smoothie in the morning and my porridge for breakfast, and I also go to the gym most mornings, but that's about it.
No, that's perfect. That's obviously sets you up for the successes that you've had, mate. So,
and it's not just folks, the people are going to realise, there is just normal things you can do.
Yeah, you don't have to meditate to be successful.
Yeah.
Fourth question, Nathan. Would you recommend a mentor, or are you a lone wolf? Have you got to where you are today without the help of others, or the guidance of others, should I say?
100%. You need help.
Mm-hmm.
I think people, if they think they can do it themselves and work it out themselves, they are very naive, and I wish them all the best, because it's impossible. You can't do it by yourself without getting help and drawing from other people's experience.
Brilliant.
Perfect. And last question, this is my favourite one. What would you say, if you could go back, what would you say to the 18-year-old Nathan Chan right now?
Travel more and party harder.
That's brilliant. Cool.
Good.
Brilliant. Thank you for answering the questions so quickly, Nathan. That's much appreciated. What we're going to do now, we're going to go into the second round of questions. And the second round of questions are about the tools and techniques that you are currently using on a day-to-day basis that help you and Foundr get the job done. Brad, did you want to hit us off with the first question?
Yeah, definitely. So we tend to take a slightly different view on people, but given that, you have got a great experience in Instagram, I really want to sort of focus on that side of things for this part. So the whole social media element of it, can you perhaps give us a couple of tips that can be helpful to somebody that was looking to go into the Instagram industry? So is there any particular, what sort of stuff should they be doing in the starting stages, whether that's downloading special apps or whatever it might be that could help the starting flow of growth?
So I think some great starting ways to start growing your Instagram account is I think consistency is everything. Just like you guys said, spot on. I think once you start on a channel and test it, or even just give it a month or so to test, I think it's very, very important that you consistently post awesome content that looks great on your Instagram page. The next thing that I think is really important is to get as many people as you can to share your content. Now, that's something that a lot of big Instagram accounts do, and that's one of the fastest ways to grow. Another piece of advice that I'd recommend is also to try and have a big emphasis on finding the best possible content that works for the target market or niche that you serve. So by all means, have a look at other people's, other brands, other pages, other people's Instagram pages, and have if they serve a similar audience to you, and have a look at the kind of content they're posting, and find out what that content is that gets the most comments and engagement, because if it works for them, it will certainly work for you. Another thing people should do, especially in the early days, is utilize hashtags to engage with like-minded people. I think that's really, really important, especially in the early days, is just engage with other people and use hashtags to find them. And then probably the last one would be, above all that, just really utilize the link in your bio. It's one thing to have followers on Instagram, but it's another thing to actually drive traffic. And the only way you're going to drive traffic is by getting people to click on the link in your bio, and just really utilize that asset.
That's brilliant. Thank you for answering that one. That's going to clear up a lot more. That's going to clear up a lot with, there's a lot of strategies and tips that people are picking up just by typing in how to get more Instagram followers on Google, and I think that right there just sort of pins everything down to what you need to do. Yeah,
and also the free ebook is probably something we would heavily push as well. If you're happy to for us to put that in our show notes, Nathan, it's probably a good start for somebody.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, if people want to get this awesome in-depth ebook that we've created, you can go to foundrmag, FOUNDRMAG.com/free.
Brilliant. Nice
Perfect.
one. Okay, then what we'll do is we'll round it up there. Nathan, thank you for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it. As you know, a name like yours is going to really push Stage 1 Startup. And yeah, the information that you've shared has been hugely valuable.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nathan. You've been really helpful for us.
Oh, you're welcome, Bradley and Greg. Man, like, dude, I'm honored that you guys hold me in such high regard. I'm just a regular dude, right? Just loving to hustle. So look, thank you so much for your time, guys. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And just lastly, Nathan, could you just tell us where people can find you, and obviously, social media platforms or whatever?
Yeah, look, if people want to find out more about our brand and what we do, you can go to foundrmag, foundrmag.com. Yeah, it's founder without an E.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Nathan, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity.
No
Brilliant.
problem. Cheers, Nathan.
Awesome. Ciao, guys.
So then, guys, what an amazing episode it has been. We hope you've taken away some super tips and advice from today's episode and from our special guests. And don't forget, you can replay this show or check out any of the show notes by visiting our website at www.stage1startup.com/podcast. But before we leave you, we'd just like to put the icing on the cake. We always like to finish the show with our current and most special announcement, the S1S contest. Anybody can enter. All you need to do is follow the rules of the game, which Brad is about to tell you. But first, here's what to expect to win from the contest. You will win 1 year's free subscription to LivePlan, 5 free entrepreneurial books chosen by myself and Brad. You will also win a personalised S1S t-shirt with the winner's name on it. Could it be any better? Now, Brad, if you could just tell our listeners what they have to do to be in with a chance to win.
Always a pleasure, Greg. So, guys, all you need to do to enter the contest and have your chance of winning these amazing startup gifts are: number 1, subscribe to the podcast. Number 2, leave a tasty review for us. And number 3, give us a big fat 5-star rating. Once you've done that, take a super selfie of you holding a note that says done, #GiveMeS1S. You can post this on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook, but make sure you tag us in the picture as well as put in the hashtag into the description, as we will be doing the search for entries by using the hashtag. Visit our website on the stage1startup.com/podcast page to see the end of contest date and when we will be revealing the winner. We will also be giving our winner a shout out on the podcast to congratulate them.
So then, guys, it is literally that simple. You've got to be in the game to win the game. Thanks so much for listening to today's show. We really do appreciate everybody who has tuned in to take tips and advice from today's guests. We will continue to make it our priority to provide you with the best of the best so that you can go from launching your business from stage 1 to success. Goodbye for now, guys, and we shall see you in the next episode.
Houston, we're back.
Thank you for listening to the Stage 1 Startup Podcast. If you're looking to launch your own business idea, visit stage1startup.com for recommended resources and step-by-step guidance to help you succeed. Prepare for takeoff.